Good afternoon, everyone. You're welcome on board for this program. Now, having talked about intelligence process, the steps on how to process information, and we've also gone further to look at intelligence analysis and the methods and techniques that some of the methods and techniques that are used in analyzing intelligence. Now, it's necessary for us to understand that intelligence has some guiding principles. Forgive me, I'm making this video. um, I'm on transit. I want to appreciate my prof for giving me the opportunity to participate in this program, intelligence management and community safety leadership, for as a resource person for the Global Intelligence, Peace and Security Institute. Now, intelligence has some ethics, some guiding principles. These are some of those very important principles, ethics that must be followed in how how we guide. Those are the guiding principles of intelligence. It's just like you're in legal profession. They have some ethics, they have some laws. Now, if you're in the field of intelligence, you have to know these principles. How do you handle information? How do you handle intelligence? For a layman, you could just talk anyhow, or you just gather information, you transmit it. No, if you're a professional, which I believe most of you are, as a professional, there are guiding principles. There are methods of transmitting intelligence. There are principles guiding the collection of intelligence, the analysis of intelligence, the transmission of intelligence, and the manner in which intelligence is transmitted. Now, the first one of them all is timeliness. If I don't know if in my first video I made mention of the definition by Ekpenyong in 2012, where he said intelligence must at all times be able to warn of impending crisis and danger, or threat and danger rather. Now, that is indicative of the fact that for intelligence to serve as intelligence, or for information to serve as intelligence, it has to satisfy that principle, that element. It has to have that element of proactiveness. If it's not able to warn of danger, then it's not intelligence. If it comes after the event has happened, it's not intelligence. That is failed intelligence. So timeliness is key in handling intelligence. For you to transmit intelligence after an event has already occurred, maybe there's a bomb threat somewhere and it has already occurred, but before it occurred, you had that information, you didn't transmit it on time. So the minutest detail is not just the most important thing we're talking about. No, I know I said paying attention to detail is very important in my previous videos, but beyond paying attention to details, you must be able to be sure that the intelligence you're transmitting is not stale intelligence. That is, it must have some elements. In fact, it must have all elements of proactiveness. It must be able to warn your superior or your consumer, the policy maker, of something. There's something that's about to occur. There's something that's about to happen. There's a group planning such and such terrorist attack. That is proactiveness. So it must be timely. This timing we're talking about could be few seconds. Sometimes something wants to fall and somebody tells you shift. That 0.000 something second could determine your chances of survival. If someone had told you something 1 second ago, probably you would have shifted and the accident wouldn't have happened. So it's the same with intelligence. Failed intelligence or late intelligence is an accident waiting to happen. The second one is objectivity. Now, if you've paid attention to my lectures on intelligence analysis, you see I hammer so much on intelligence, on objectivity, and being free from bias. If you're transmitting intelligence, it should be objective, not subjective. It shouldn't be subject to any bias. Like I made examples of transmitting intelligence on the basis of personal belief or cultural belief. You just believe something. It's not. It doesn't satisfy, or it didn't pass through the rigor of intelligence analysis, which is a cognitive process mixed with some scientific processes, like I explained in the previous videos. So your intelligence must be timely, and then the process of your analysis must be objective. I'm doing a juxtaposition of principles of intelligence collection, principles of intelligence processing, analysis, and principles of disseminating or transmitting intelligence. Ordinarily, in a higher level, or in a more detailed lecture, I would differentiate between the principles of collecting information, the principles of analyzing intelligence, and the principles of transmitting or disseminating it. But here I'm just juxtaposing everything all in one in order to make this as short and as quick as possible. Another one we have is brevity. Now, when you have your intelligence report, or you're going to report intelligence orally, it has to be as brief as possible. Remember, time is a very important element. Now, if you're transmitting intelligence and you're taking 1 hour to transmit that intelligence, you could just bore your superior out, or what you're trying to prevent from happening must have already happened. So in this case, if it's an intelligence report, it has to be as brief as possible. You just go straight to the point, which is why it is followed by another very important principle of intelligence, which is precision. Now, I like to equate this to accuracy, precision and accuracy. That's the third one, or the fourth one rather. Brevity followed by precision and accuracy. Now, for your information or for your intelligence report, to have some ambiguities and like I explained in previous videos, lexical ambiguities and all of that, is not precise. You know what they say about hitting the nail on the head? That's how intelligence is supposed to be. If you're reporting intelligence, you go straight to the point, and it should be free from all forms of uncertainties. There are statements you will make that have 2 or more meanings. Those are ambiguous statements. So intelligence reports should not have any of those. They must be precise and accurate. Accuracy, precision, it must have that quality of being exact and accurate. The level of exactitude has to be very high. So what I'm saying in essence is that your information or your intelligence, it must be timely, you must be objective in analyzing and transmitting it. It must be brief, and it must be precise. You hit the nail on the head. If you're transmitting intelligence, say for instance you're working with the DSS and you've been sent on an operation. We know they all go for these operations, covert operation. You went to Sokoto, and on your way back, or you're back to command, and you're supposed to report, or you're a police officer, you've been sent to go and do surveillance on a particular place. You've done your surveillance, you've acquired actionable intelligence. But in transmitting that intelligence, you make it bogus, you make it ambiguous. It becomes unclear to the policymaker, and that could actually affect decision making, in the sense that on the basis of misconception, or he wrongly interprets what you didn't mean the way he interprets it, your superior could go ahead and make faulty decisions, and the costs could be disastrous. So what I'm saying in essence is brevity, precision, those are very important. Another one is confidentiality. Now, you could obey, or you could follow all these principles, and because of the lack of confidentiality, how you handle it becomes a problem. If you have intel, in fact, one of the defining elements of intelligence is secrecy, is what gives it value. Those are very important elements. Confidentiality. Now, you have information, or you have intelligence, and you're going around, you don't handle it well. You're going around, distributing or telling everybody carelessly what information you have. 2 or 3 things could happen. The adversary could hear what your plans are, or someone else within the same organization would take glory for the intelligence you're supposed to be the one to transmit and take credit for. So confidentiality is very important in handling intelligence. You see some intelligence reports, in fact all intelligence reports are either restricted, classified. The differences between these are just technical or semantic differences. Rather, we have restricted. When they say something is restricted, it's restricted to a particular class, a particular group. The same thing with classified. It's classified. That means there are levels. There are levels to the access. It's maybe you're in level 9 in the civil service. Your access level is not enough for you to view these documents. That's what it means by classified. It is classified to particular groups. So on the basis of your own level, in the intelligence agency or in the intelligence community which you belong, you would have access to the one that your clearance level, that's what they call it, clearance level. We have secret, top secret, all those are classifications. Some you see need to know basis, right to know basis. There are some informations that you're not supposed to have access to. If it says NTKB, need to know basis, it means if you're not in a position that requires you to have access to that information, then you don't have the need to know it. Sometimes, sometimes we lie by omission, sometimes we lie by commission. Now, there are times you don't say something. Somebody asks you a question, you don't say something, but you lied, you omitted something, right? They say you can commit a crime by omission or by commission. So there are times when you could this information is based on need to know basis, and maybe you're having issues with someone. Let me use personal example, a social example, your wife. Why didn't you tell me this? And you say I didn't feel you had the need to know. So that's the same thing with intelligence. There are some intels that don't require some people knowing, a particular group of people. You don't have the need to know, the right to know, or the power to know. They are all different. The right to know is different from the need to know. If someone is concerned, or if someone is going to be affected, if you have intelligence about terrorist activities, for instance, and OC, or you have information about fraud, for instance, OC political and religious affairs in your unit asks you, why did you not relate this to me? You will tell the person you don't have the need to know, or you don't, or maybe someone that is not in a position to know, say no, you don't have the right to know. So the right to know comes with your official position, your appropriateness. Are you in an appropriate position to have access to that information? Then the need to know comes with are you affected, or are you concerned? Is it in your area to know that? That's all about confidentiality. Then we also have non-repudiation. You don't say something today and you say another thing tomorrow. That's not intelligence.
Now,
You
that's
don't
not
you don't
withstanding the
contradict yourself.
the
So that's what.
possibility of inherent and induced uncertainties, as earlier explained, or denial and deception. Now, when we talk about inherent and induced uncertainty, is different from errors on the part of the analyst, or repudiation. Now, uncertainty or self contradiction is different. When we say uncertainty, it is on the part of the information itself, either inherent or induced. That is either the one that comes naturally with the information, or the intelligence rather, or the one that is induced by an external party. Now, all those are uncertainties. But we're talking about, contradiction. That is, you are that is, you have, contradictions in your intelligence report, or you're submitting A as your conclusion, and probably subject to bias or some other personal or cognitive factors, you at the end of the day contradict yourself. Now, that's repudiation. So I think at this point I would call it a day. I have limited time for this lecture. I hope you've learned something within the short videos you watched, and if you have any questions, you can please bring them forth to the group chat so we can discuss some of these things you're not clear with. Thank you very much. I remain Baba Ahmadu Abdulaziz. Do have a lovely evening.